I had hoped a shower would fix my foggy head so I could think more clearly about the whole "am I gay" question, but I was so distracted with it that by the time I got out, I discovered I hadn't washed the conditioner out of my hair. Also, while I was worrying about whether being distracted was a sign I subconsciously knew I was gay, I nearly poured orange juice into my cereal, and then I fed Mr. Crumpet again, forgetting that I'd fed him only an hour ago. When my phone dinged with a message from Sarah saying, "Morning, sunshine. Let me know when you're up and I'll bring you some cafe brekkie," smiley face, I basically freaked the hell out. I didn't trust myself to reply at all, but if I didn't reply, she'd probably come around anyway. If she came around anyway, there was no way in hell I'd be able to lie convincingly to her about where I was last night. I was a bad enough liar normally without being super distracted and hungover, and I had this horrible, horrible mental image of me saying something or even doing something to give away the feelings I'd had about her. There was only one solution. I threw on some clothes and fled my house. I went and loaded up on caffeine at a cafe, not any of the ones Sarah liked though, because I didn't want to bump into her, and then spent a couple of hours at the local Westfield before I remembered how much I hated shopping. I'd never been the kind of person to go out and see things like museums or landmarks or whatever, so I ended up at the only place where I could be seedy and not judged for it. Dad's. When I wandered into his garage, he looked like he couldn't believe his eyes. "Gemma," he said, rushing over to give me a big hug and in the process getting engine grease from his latest mechanical invention all over me. "What brings you all the way out here?" You're a great excuse to not be home, I thought, and then felt really guilty. I'm a bad daughter and I don't visit you enough? He laughed. "Don't feel obligated to visit me. I'm not in a nursing home yet," he told me, and then added darkly, "But if your mother keeps fighting me for the house, it might be the only place I can afford pretty soon. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let me put the kettle on." It clearly wasn't enough of that, though, because while he was making me tea, I got to hear all about how Mum was dating someone who was, oh my God, 13 years younger than her, can you believe it, and who was apparently straight from Spain. "And do you know what she said loudly in front of me at Sandy's 60th? He asked as he ferociously heaped sugar into his tea. "She said, 'It's nice to date someone with a tan for once.'" Ouch. Dad was as fair and red-headed as I was. "Anyway," he said, trying to change the subject again, "are you dating anyone at the moment?" After his ongoing saga with Mum, that was a bit of a loaded question. I shook my head. "Nope, still single." "Good," he said with feeling, waving the spoon at me. "Stay that way. Relationships are for suckers who want to hand over half of everything they've worked their whole lives for to thieving adulterers. You're too smart for that." Yeah, it's definitely that I'm too smart for it, I thought dryly. Not that I'm hopeless with strangers, or that I don't even know whether I should be dating men or women anymore. I briefly wondered what he'd do if I did bring home a girlfriend to him. It wasn't that much of a mystery, though, because Mum would definitely disapprove, and that was the only thing in the world that made Dad truly happy. I could probably count on his support. Plus, he'd always really liked Sarah. I paused mid-sip, horrified with myself for making that connection. Dad let me hang around all afternoon in his garage while he tinkered with his latest design, and we chatted about things that weren't the fact I went to a lesbian bar last night, that I was attracted to my best friend, and that I didn't know what to do about either of those things. I even earned major brownie points for ignoring my phone while it went nuts in my bag. It was only when I was sure it was too late for Sarah to drop by that I caught the train home. And what the hell was I going to tell Sarah, my friends, and my dad if I got a girlfriend? Because I kept noticing all the straight couples in them and wondering if I was like them or not.